We know the EFL clubs have been hit hard by the pandemic. One of those clubs is League Two side Port Vale. They've opened their doors to us today as they look to bounce back after a tough year. And Rob Dorset joins us live from Vale Park. Hi, Rob.
Hi, yeah, we're access all areas at Vale Park today. Many thanks to Port Vale for letting us in. We're COVID secure in every department, of course, and they're playing managerless Oldham Athletic tonight. You can see Trevor Speedy, the groundsman down there, just marking out the lines, as he has done for the last 42 years. We'll be hearing from him a little bit later on. But just imagine if you'd bought a League Two football club, like Port Vale, and then 6 months later, the pandemic struck and instantly your revenue went to zero. That's what's happened to Carol Shanahan here, who's owner and chairperson of Port Vale. Carol, look, thanks for letting us in and thanks for talking to us.
It's a pleasure. Before we go any further, it's Steve Speed, not Trevor.
Did I say Trevor? I'm
did.
sorry. I knew it was Steve as well. Thanks for correcting it. He wouldn't have forgiven us later. But look, let's talk about the last 12 months, because you bought this football club with high hopes and then instantly your revenue pretty much dropped to zero. How bad was it? Give us some figures on it, and how hard have the last 12 months been?
I think for every single football club, the last 12 months has been really hard. For us, it's been well over £1 million that we've lost, that we've had to put in. I have to say that the Port Vale fans have been amazing. We sold 4,000 season tickets and only a small handful have asked for a refund. And, you know, all the way through, they've been behind us. And the shops, we've had record sales. So fans have really tried to help where they can. But it's been really hard because, you know, for the lower leagues, the main revenue is through the gate, and the gates have been shut.
And to that end, I mean, look, we know that Stoke-on-Trent as a city suffers pretty significant deprivation. It's one of the poorest areas in the country. In fact, this borough is 12th out of 371 councils when it comes to poverty.
Yeah.
And yet the fans are still putting their hands in their pocket. But you've done a lot as well. We've got some pictures of what you've been doing, creating meals for the local community. Give us an idea of why you've done that, how you've done it, and to what extent.
Well, it began this time last year, so you know, this is the anniversary of football being suspended. And the day after, I got the leadership team of Port Vale Foundation, the Hub Foundation, and Synectics, which is my IT company, and I just got all the leadership team together and said, look, how do you want lockdown to write us? You know, how do you want history to write us? What do you want to say in a few years' time if this is what we did? Because we can shut up shop, no one would think any the worse of us, or we can, you know, try and do things and try and make a difference. Without exception or hesitation, every single one said we want to go and do what we can, and we had no idea at that point what we would do, but we've been delivering food and activities and holiday periods for a number of years, so we thought, well, we'll start with that. Spoke to the council, spoke to the schools that we work with, and we just started to deliver meals.
300,000 in 12 months?
Yeah, so we did
That's extraordinary, Carol.
We did a deep clean of the kitchen. We furloughed all of our hospitality staff and all of our foundation staff, but they all volunteered to come back in to work for the community. And they were producing 1,000 meals a day from the Port Vale kitchens. JCB were providing meals, local companies were providing ready-made meals as well. But we've just carried on, and we're still delivering them to this day, because people think, oh, you know, the problem was last year. The problem is still today. And so every day we are delivering food. We did over Christmas, we will over Easter.
Incredible. Look, you were flying this time last year. The form team in League Two, looking bound for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you voted for the season to be curtailed. You were one of the clubs. It was your vote.
Yeah.
Why?
Because at the time, when you looked at it, for us to have carried on, we would have had to have asked clubs that had nothing to play for and nothing to gain to pay, to bring their players out of furlough, to pay everything that you needed to do to host 9 games, just so that we could have an opportunity to maybe get into the playoffs. And it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem right for that time. The whole country was coming into lockdown, and there was a lot of fear around, and I just felt it was the right thing to do. I felt it was right to give a very clear mandate to the EFL when they were going and negotiating, and I felt it was a time to put football and the community and everything else above Port Vale's individual interests. I would do it again if I had that same decision today.
Well, that's incredible. And look, let's finish with the state we're in now, we've had 12 months where EFL clubs have had virtually no revenue. You've lost £1 million, you've told us here this morning.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Do you have a significant fear that EFL clubs will go bust? Not yourself. I mean, look, you've done incredibly well in the IT world, and it's your backing here that's kept this club afloat to a large extent. What about other clubs? Do you fear for the future of other EFL clubs?
I do if we don't support them, and I think the good thing is that we did get the money from the Premier League that's enabled them to get a loan if they need it to keep them going and to see it through. But we need fans back, and we need fans back as soon as we can. Football needs fans back, and the fans need to be back. I view football as a faith-based system, really, and this is part of the fans' faith. They need to be back financially because clubs need it, but they need it too. So as soon as we can get them back, it will be a wonderful day.
Carol, thanks for talking to us. That's Carol Shanahan, OBE. Are you OBE yet or not quite?
Well, I've been told I've got it.
She hasn't been given the award yet, but it's only a matter of time for all those services that Carol and the rest of the people here at Port Vale have been doing in terms of delivering meals to the local community. As I say, we're Access All Areas here today, so we'll be talking to Steve Speed, the groundsman, a little bit later on, and his 42 years. How has the last 12 months compared with all of those? Safety officer here and all the new regulations they've had to put in place. And Tom Conlon, local boy, captain, we'll hear from before the game this evening as well. So stay with us on Sky Sports News because 12 months to the day after football closed its doors to fans, there's hope, there's belief that those doors will open soon again.
League Two side Port Vale have also been hit hard by the financial impact of COVID, but that hasn't stopped them helping those in need during this difficult time. Our reporter Rob Dorset has gone to Vale Park to find out more. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Bella. Yeah, this is the epitome of a traditional community football club, you have to say, and the close relationship between the two, I think, has been really emphasised in the pandemic of the last 12 months. You look at the evidence of the fact that 98% of Port Vale season ticket holders have left their money in the club to try and support it. Normally, they'd sell about 3,500 replica shirts. More than 10,000 they've sold in the last 12 months as Port Vale fans have done their bit to support the club, which the owner, Carol Shanahan, told us earlier on Sky Sports News, is about £1 million down. The other side of it is what the club have been doing for the community, and it is an extraordinary figure what they've managed. 300,000 meals for the local community, made here at Port Vale and elsewhere, delivered by club staff as well in the last 12 months. The EFL has told us that they're close to 1 million meals delivered across all of the 72 EFL clubs. Port Vale have done over 300,000 on their own. It is absolutely extraordinary. Let's talk to Adam Yates, who's from the Hub Foundation, which work with Port Vale. And you may recognise Adam because he's a former Port Vale player. Listen, last time we spoke to you 3 years ago, you had a horrible head injury in a reserve team game that ended your career. How are you now, first and foremost, Adam?
I'm better than I was 3 years ago. I have to say that it was a difficult time for me because I'd been involved with football for such a long period, but it comes to an end for everybody, and luckily I've been able to transition out and into a role which has benefited both me and the community.
300,000 meals for the community in 12 months. How have you managed that?
Well, it's been a big task. For us and for the group of organisations, it's been difficult to see a number of families in the city going through struggles, and what we've been able to do is utilise all the organisations. So you obviously got Port Vale Foundation, the Hub and Synectics who've underpinned it, and we've been able to support families across the city with that huge amount of meals, and we have to say the feedback on it has been phenomenal.
You've said to me as well that some of these families are in quite significant need. I mean, we know that this is quite a deprived area of Stoke-on-Trent, and that's been obvious to you. Big families that need the help, and Marcus Rashford has made this very, very high profile, but this is something you've been doing for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, we've been running it for around about 3 years, so we've been providing holiday activities and food. Very recently Marcus Rashford's been campaigning and put the pressure on the government, and I have to say to the Department for Education that they've stepped up and made some more funding available, but it is late and it is very much needed, and as we've just said, 3 years of supporting families, but predominantly during the pandemic it's been mostly meals.
We've just been looking at some of the pictures now, those meals being made here at Vale Park and then delivered. And you've told me that some families with 10 children you've been helping.
Yeah, we've had some big families in the city. You know, Stoke by nature is one of the 12 most disadvantaged areas in the country. So we have big families, we have families that need support. You know, you have to wonder how some of these families can survive on the support they're getting. But we know we've brought a number of organisations together, and particularly the foundation of the football club, to deliver those meals.
Let's have a chat with Will as well from the football club. Will, I mean, look, you work very closely with the Hub Foundation there, and it's not just the food projects as well. Give us an idea of some of the other things you've been doing. I mean, this loneliness project you were telling me about is quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So the food is a starting point, but very much in terms of the loneliness project, that's been around older people in the community that are perhaps isolated or at risk of becoming lonely, and particularly in the middle of the pandemic. That's been emphasised even more so. So over the duration of COVID-19, we've supported over 750 people with weekly phone calls, garden gate visits. We supported them with the food parcels, activity packs, and a range of different things that's just supported them to make sure they stay connected and stay healthy.
A lot of football clubs, we never hear about this, do we? Let's be honest. We don't report it very often on Sky Sports News. The national newspapers don't hear about it. But this is very much a club based in and grounded in its local community. The two are very close, and we mentioned that right at the start. You see that day to day? Absolutely,
yeah. Very much a one club approach. So club, community, all the different departments, our partners such as the Hub Foundation that are all part of that, all coming together to try and hit the same outcomes and improve lives in Stoke-on-Trent. It's a really, there's some real challenges in the area, as Adam mentioned, around deprivation stats and various different things. And in the middle of a global pandemic, if a football club can't step up to help out, then nobody else has got much chance, and that's what we're here for. We need our community as much as the community needs us, so it is one approach.
Well done. Well, thanks for talking to us, and Adam Yates there as well, trying to keep socially distanced. And probably I just bashed you with my pole, didn't I? You don't want that on Sky Sports News. As I say, access all areas at Port Vale today for Sky Sports News. We'll be talking to the safety officer very shortly with all of the extra regulations they have to go through to ensure COVID-19 restrictions are in place for players, for staff that work here. And we'll be talking to the groundsman who's been here for 42 years as well. This is the most bizarre year, of course, that he's had in those 42. So stay with us on Sky Sports News. Much more from Vale Park to come.
Rob, be careful with that pole. Thank you very much. Well, it's been a tough year for the majority of EFL clubs, and League Two side Port Vale are no exception. They have lost over £1 million during this pandemic. We can now go live to Vale Park to join our reporter Rob Dorset, who has been taking a closer look at the full impact that this has had on the club. Hi, Rob.
Yeah, hi Bella. As you say, the last 12 months have been very difficult for everybody in football, haven't they? But for EFL clubs and clubs in League Two especially so. In fact, this stadium, it's too good for League Two in truth, isn't it? No disrespect intended there. But look at these seating here. That's brand new. It was put in for a Robbie Williams concert that was due to happen in the summer. Of course, that got cancelled, and those seats have never been used. They don't know when they're going to be able to reschedule that Robbie Williams concert. It's not going to happen this summer. But a difficult time for Port Vale. Lost £1 million, struggling in the league as well. But let's have a chat with Steve Speed. Steve, come in and have a chat to us. Steve Speed, the head groundsman here, just preparing the pitch for tonight. Because let's not forget, you've got a game against Oldham kicking off in 3 hours.
Hopefully 3 points as well.
You need them, don't you, at the moment?
Yeah,
I mean, 5 points above the relegation places.
Yeah. We need to win every home game at the moment, so
good man.
It's going to be a good evening.
Now, look, talk to me, because you've been here for 42 years, a little bird tells me.
Yeah, I've been here a long time. I've seen the good, the bad, and at the moment we're in a changeover, and it's been a tough 12 months. One thing with the COVID, but from football's always changing. I know over the last 20 years, fitness coaches and things like that. So from all groundsmen at this level are changing with the times, and this summer and this season's been no different.
How difficult was it? Because look, there was so little of a closed season, and the League Two season was curtailed. But you couldn't actually dig up the pitch or reseed it or do anything. Explain that to us, because you didn't know when football was going to restart.
No, at the end of the day, I think everybody in football thought there was going to be a 3 or 4 week break, and it come at March, and we thought by probably end of April we'll be starting up. So we planned no work on the pitch. We cancelled what work we were going to do in May. We cancelled, and we started seeding up as soon as we were told there was no games for 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah. Once the season had stopped, we laid one of my staff off on furlough, and we managed through. And then the players start coming back in training, and one of my lads come back in. They took him off furlough, and but we've been working harder than ever. We've taken probably less holidays than we've ever taken because they've crammed the games in, not just first team but youth games. Early in the season we did quite well in the cup games, so we got quite a few cup games going in. So yeah, it's been a busy time, and you think I'll get a day off next week, and then all of a sudden they'll put a game in, or a youth game will get rearranged, and so it's been a busy time.
Full credit to you though, because I think you've only had one game called off this season, haven't you? And that was a frozen pitch rather than anything else. Yeah,
there was nothing we could do about that. It went down to -6 or -7 that night, and you know,
you must be quite proud that pitch is still in that.
Yeah, for a soil pitch, we are quite proud of it. There's been a lot of games in a short space of time, so we're quite pleased with it. We're lucky that over the last 2 weeks it's warmed up and dried out a bit. So I think, like every groundsman at this level, people have worked hard, and you know, you can't really furlough at home and take the pitch home and roll it out in your back garden and say I'm working from home. You've got to come in, and it's hard. You know, people have said, oh, weekend off, and we've gone, no, there's a youth game, and then they'll come in and train it on a bank holiday Monday, and that's football. That's what we got into. We know that, but you know, it still made it hard.
Steve, I wish you all the very best, and thanks for talking to us. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the game tonight against Oldham as well. That's Steve Speed, the head groundsman here at Port Vale. We've had access all areas today. We've spoken to so many people. We'll be hearing from the captain, local lad Tom Conlon, next. We talked a lot today around this club about how grounded this club is in the local community. 300,000 meals in the last 12 months this club's helped contribute to the local community, and 98% of season ticket holders of this club have kept their money in the club to try and keep it afloat. You're a local lad. Have you ever known a club that's as local, as grounded in its community as this one?
No, I don't think I have. I mean, since Carol's come in, she's been brilliant. She really has, with sorting the meals out, like you say. It's been excellent, and then the fans keeping their money in the club. It means a hell of a lot to me. It means a hell of a lot to the players, and now it's down to us to start doing the business on the pitch again.
I mean, we talk about your localness around here. Your great-grandfather played for this football club as well, is that right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I've got there's another one as well. It's a little bit far back, but it's definitely in my family, and it makes me even more proud to represent this club.
How has it been from a player's perspective in terms of, all right, we know about you playing without fans you've mentioned there, but with all the COVID protocols, the red zones, the tests you've had to undergo, how strict it is around training and that sort of thing of what you can and can't do. What's that been like from a player's perspective?
Yeah, again, it's really different. Even when it comes down to having food with the lads, you know, we finish training, we go upstairs afterwards, we have a bit of banter and we eat our food. Even things like that have been taken away, so it's not ideal, but there's some big problems going on in the world right now, and I think me and all the group are just so happy we can still play football. You know, we can still have football games on Saturday nights and Tuesday evenings, and it means everything to us. It really does. Yeah,
it's been a very difficult and a bizarre 12 months for all football clubs. We've come to Port Vale to see how things have been going here. We're not normally allowed in here, but we're in the command centre, which overlooks the pitch at Vale Park, and John Rutherford is the safety officer here who's going to have a chat to us. John, the last 12 months, try and put it into perspective. How difficult, how different from the average? Because you've been doing this job for over 30 years at different football clubs. I should imagine the last year has been unlike any other.
Very, very different to any other year. We were faced with new regulations, new protocols, and we had to move very quickly to get systems and procedures in place to make sure that when we got the players back in play games, they were safe, and then we were planning to get spectators back into the ground and they'd be safe. So there was lots to do in a very short space of time. Give us an idea of some of the stuff you've had to do, because there's that pitch we're looking at behind you is a red zone. You've got one-way systems all around the inside of the club. Yeah, so there's two aspects. The first aspect on the zoning came from the EFL. They instructed all football clubs to identify a red zone, which is a safe zone for the coaches, playing staff, etc. So that's the pitch, the dressing rooms, the tunnel. And then the amber zone would be the areas around, which is trackside and the stands. And then the green zone is the external areas to the ground. And that was contained within the protocol from the EFL. And every club had to come up with that plan, those drawings, and put the procedures in place. And from what you were saying, you were concerned at the start, 12 months ago, that there might be some spectators who'd try and get into the stadium or get a view of it. But did that happen? It didn't. On the first game of the season, well, it was a pre-season game, We had one spectator turn up on the car park. We asked stewards to approach him and explain that he had to leave the footprint, and he left. And that's the only incident we've had in all the behind closed doors matches so far.
So people have got the message?
They have, yes. Yeah.
I mean, look, when it comes to a match day now, you've still got people here. You've still got the two teams. I mean, Oldham are going to be arriving very shortly here tonight for the game tonight.
Yeah.
How many people on site? How many stewards? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, well, on a normal match, we would have 120 stewards, but for a behind closed doors match, I'm managing these games with 16 stewards. It's a small team. We secure the site. We have a list from the visiting club of all their playing staff, coaching staff, visiting directors. Similarly for the home team, we know everybody, my security team, the catering staff, etc. So I know on every behind closed doors match the name of every person who's going to be in this stadium, and we're looking at a maximum of 100, 120 on a day like today.
It's still quite a lot though. I mean, yeah, but you mentioned the stewarding there. I mean, what, 10% or so of the normal number of stewards you've had? Has this cost stewards their jobs? It's cost them money, surely, because people aren't doing as many shifts.
It most certainly has. We normally use stewarding agencies to support us on match days, so there's a couple of companies in Stoke who've lost work for their staff. We've got our own in-house team, a small number, about 40, 50, and we've used those on a rotating basis to make sure everybody gets a fair chance to earn a little bit of money. But yeah, it's impacted all the match day staff.
And towards the back end of this season, if the Prime Minister's targets we can stick to, and that, you know, there's a lot of maybes between now and then, last game of the season potentially you could have fans back here.
We won't be able to have fans back here for our last game. Our last game is the 8th, and it comes the week before the step 2, step 3, and so therefore, unfortunately, we will not have spectators for any match this season.
Start of next season then. That's got to be the hope.
Absolutely, that's what I'm planning for now. We've got that light at the end of the tunnel. I'll be working closely to make sure we're not only having socially distanced crowds, but a proper football crowd back in the stadium in August.
I bet you can't wait, can you, for that?
Can't wait. What's football without fans? We need spectators.
John, thanks for talking to us. That's John Rutherford there, the safety officer here at Port Vale. As I say, we've been pretty much everywhere around this club on Sky Sports News today.